Now,
Talk about the crab, brother.
when we talk about STDs, nobody wants crabs. But everybody eating crabs. I don't get it.
Just a larger version.
Now, that's an ugly thing. Ugly. Where does it swim at? It's at the bottom too. Is that right? It's eating everything at the bottom. And then they got this part of the crab that they tell you got to take out called the dead man. You mean there's a dead man in the crab? Well, brother, it's not really a man, but it's just called a dead man. So make some sense to that for me. If it was called the dead man and I got to take it out before I boil this crab and eat it, then isn't the residue of the dead man in the crab? But beyond that, when you just look at it's the ugliest thing. Why would somebody want to eat that? It tastes good. I saw, remember Hannibal Lecter? Silence of the Lambs? There was one portion of that at the end when he was on the plane, and the little child came over to him while he was eating and said, "What is that?" "Oh, this is this, and this is that, and this right here. Oh, this is special." He was eating brain. You want to taste it? See, we're so ignorant that we'll follow mankind into everything. See, mankind knows he doesn't have long to be on the planet. He knows his time is limited. But he knows the original man will soon come back into full swing and order. And this is why the Bible says the tail will be made the head. And the head will be made the tail. See, the wrong head is leading the world right now. The bottom rail will be brought to the top, and the top rail will be brought to the bottom. God has given all these hints, but because the book has been mixed, diluted, and tampered with and needs to be reinterpreted, someone has to come and unlock what has been locked in the revelation of God. So the scripture says, how shall they know except they have a teacher? How shall they have a teacher except he be sent? Now, if we think that teacher was 2,000 years ago, was murdered, talking about Jesus, resurrected, taken away in a cloud, and is coming back soon. And it's been 2,000 years.
I'm listening.
Somebody would have to make sense of that.
That's right.
And it is truth mixed with falsehood.
That's right.
You cannot tell a lie without mixing truth with it. Because the creator of everything is righteous. He doesn't lie. So in order for someone to be able to tell a lie, he has to pull from the creation of truth in order to tell a lie. I said it before, and you can try it on yourself in your own mind. Try to think of a lie without using any of the truth of this world or truth that you know. It's impossible. Your brain was not created off of lies. Your brain is fashioned and modeled after the brain of the originator. You see? So you're in a world that's created out of righteousness, but you live in a society that's ruled by wickedness.
That's right.
You see? So when we start talking about the world coming to an end, we're not talking about the globe is going to explode.
No.
We're not talking about the earth coming to an end.
No, sir.
What are worlds made up of? Systems of government. Is that right? Laws, rules, and regulations. So that system that we're in is coming to an end.
Right.
A lot of people talking about President Trump. They don't even want to say his name. They say the 45. There was a time when we talk about a 4/5 and everybody think you got a gun. Now everybody's saying 45. Number 45. 45. I don't even want to say his name. Like if you say his name, you know, something's going to happen. I don't want to acknowledge him as president. You can't go without acknowledging him as president just because you don't like him. Hell, I ain't like George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, Thomas Jefferson, Alexander Hamilton. They all owned slaves. George Bush. As a matter of fact, the only president I did like was Barack Obama. And he was number 44. And then he disappointed me. But I understand. Because as president, you're actually the CEO over America Incorporated. This is all business. And if we don't look at it properly, we won't understand that the person in the seat is not the one that's really running the show.
That's right. Not running the show. Oh.
You know, there's a shadow behind that that's really calling the shots.
That's right.
But that's you know, we ain't got time to go into all that. The last thing I just wanted to mention in that food chain is that lobster, because that's yeah, I ain't forget. That's an ugly thing. Come on. But it tastes good, right? That's what you say. But how you gonna eat that? I mean, that thing is ugly. Yet we will eat it, and it's another bottom feeder. So it's really a large piece of manure, because you are what you eat. It eats manure. We boil it and break off a leg and get the shell off and eat it. And you know, the people that eat that and say, but I don't eat pork. You are eating pork when you eat that, because that's just as filthy as, that's the pork of the sea.
That's right.
The pork of the water. And I ain't forget that catfish. That nasty, ugly thing with whiskers. A catfish? Really?
That's right. Got skin.
So now, brothers and sisters, when God is on the scene, God gives us regulation on everything in our life. Because his world covers everything. And that's why, whether it's the Bible or the Holy Quran, you'll find every facet of society and governing society covered in these books.
That's right.
You can go to the book of Leviticus and deal with what you're supposed to be eating and what you shouldn't be eating. You can go to the book of Deuteronomy and deal with the law of Moses, because all that deals with law. Is that right? So I'm just saying, even in the Quran, when we go into different sections of the Quran, we'll find in Surah 5 the food. Is that right? We'll find in Surah 3 dealing with the family of Amram. Is that right? And that's dealing with the family, which compares with Genesis. You see, because the Quran and the Bible, all this comes from one God. They don't argue against each other. They're there to verify the truth of one another. You see? So it complements each other. So last week we was dealing with our Genesis. We're still on that same theme. But we got to cover, you know, the family. Because, you know, it's God, family, right? Then you have community, and then you have nation. We couldn't have a community if we didn't have families that make communities. And we couldn't have a family if God didn't produce the first family. Is that right? And when we understand that in its proper way, we can see it in past, present, and future perfect tense. This is the way the Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us. So, to close on this point, Jesus, the Christ, had to have a witness. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
And his witness bearer would be that witness that is bearing witness that Christ is present. And meaning when he's saying Christ is present, is talking about God in a man.
All right.
You see? So, where's his witness?
Come on.
We got all these churches, mosques, synagogues. Where is the witness to the Messiah? And to be a witness of the Messiah is meaning that you are connected to that Messiah.
All right.
That the people don't see, but they see you. And you're performing works in the name of that Messiah.
All right.
that has everybody wondering, how are you able to do what you do?
That's right.
And then at the same time, the governing power of that day and time when that witness is around of the Messiah, the governing power is against the witness.
That's right.
The scribes and the Pharisees are against it. Isn't that what we read in the scripture of the New Testament? He comes unto his own receives him not. The light of God coming through him shines in the darkness, but the darkness comprehends it not. And he's not making a reputation of himself. He's constantly talking about the Father, who is the Christ.
Right.
We see Minister Farrakhan as that witness. Now that's our belief, that we see Minister Farrakhan as the witness of the Messiah and the most honorable Elijah Muhammad as the Messiah. I'm not saying you have to believe it, but if you believe that Jesus Christ is the Messiah, prove it.
All right. Come on. Good point, brother.
Where's his witness? And don't tell me the Pope are wrong. Because if the Pope, with all due respect, is the vicar of Christ, then to be the vicar of Christ is meaning that whatever he says, God will back it.
Good.
If he says you shouldn't do X, Y, and Z, talking to nations, and if you don't follow what I'm saying, God will answer my warning to you.
Right.
Then you're going to see that happen when the Pope say it. But the Pope ain't going to say nothing like that. And I have respect for the Pope because the seat that he holds is way above my pay grade, so I'm going to get off that right now. But I'm just saying.
He's not gonna say that.
He ain't going to say that.
Not that.
But you can go study the tapes of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and see when he's speaking to the government and when he's speaking to his own people and he's warning them and telling them.
And respect.
You don't believe what I'm saying? Watch what God's do after I finish today.
That's right.
And he'll tell you how to watch for it. He'll say, watch the weather.
That's right, brother.
There's times where there's been unjust killings of people of renown from the black community, and he would get up in front of everybody and tell them, look, because of what you did to our brothers such as Ron Brown,
Come on.
God's going to take 10 of your best.
That's right.
And then you follow through the news and you find some of the best from among them end up dying.
That's right, brother.
It's times when he said, I remember back in 1993, Jackson, Mississippi.
Yes, sir.
That's right.
After all the killings that was happening in police precincts of our black brothers and sisters being put in police custody and dying, going from Washington, D.C. all the way up to Mississippi, and then they killed the stepson of brother Anthony Muhammad. And the minister came into Jackson, Mississippi and started talking about the wrath of God. And then he said, before I leave, when I finish, watch what God does. He's going to bring floods from Washington, D.C. all the way up to Mississippi. And he said, I'm getting out of here today. And them floods started coming. So, I mean, look, I can go on and on and on, but there's no need.
That's right.
I'm just saying, brothers and sisters, it's mathematical. That when we see and read about things in the Bible, in the Quran of 2,000 years ago, 4,000 years ago, 6,000 years ago, and then we're in this modern day time having men and women of God stand up in front of us that are doing and saying things that remind us of different prophets and messengers in the Bible and the Quran, it's not by coincidence. God, as the Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us, and Minister Farrakhan gives it to us understanding on it, our thoughts are things. And thoughts that we have in our mind, when we speak it, we're putting it into the atmosphere. It can't be pulled back. It stays in the atmosphere. And other people pick up on those thoughts. You see? And so when you take the highest thought, which is revelation of God coming through prophets and messengers, then whatever those prophets and messengers have given over the past 6,000 years, it's in the atmosphere.
That's right.
If you take the thoughts, we in Black History Month, right? If we take the thoughts of Frederick Douglass, Fannie Lou Hamer,
Come on.
Sojourner Truth. It's in the atmosphere.
That's right, brother.
So you can see Sojourner Truth again in one of our people. You can see Fannie Lou Hamer in one of our people. You can see Frederick Douglass again in one of our people. You can see Marcus Garvey again in one of our people. All they got to do is pull on those thoughts and then act on them. But do you think the enemy wants to see another Marcus Garvey? Do you think the enemy wants to see another Sojourner Truth?
No.
Do you think the enemy? So why would they support that?
Listen good. Look quick.
So the history they give us is not the kind of history that's going to make us stand on the shoulders of Frederick Douglass.
All right.
Not going to make us stand on the shoulders of W.E.B. Du Bois. Not going to make us stand on the shoulders of Nat Turner. Hell no.
No.
Or Malcolm X. Or Martin Luther King Jr. And until they sanitize them and water them down, and it becomes not his story, it becomes his story about our history.
That's right.
So the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, if a man won't treat you right, he's sure not going to teach you right.
That's right.
And these people have not been treating us right ever since we were kidnapped by them
That's right.
through our ancestors from the west coast of Africa and brought over here to be made slaves
That's right.
for the past 462 years.
Yes, brother.
And because their mind has become many of our minds, then we just automatically are doing things to ourselves now. That is so despicable
Teach on it, brother.
that if we keep on, the wrath of God that will be so severe, it's scary to just even think about it. Trump is a sign of it.
That's right.
The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said this in the press conference that he did on November 16, 2017, where he was giving a warning to the United States government and the president and a final warning to black people. He said to the world, do you not think that God is concerned on or interested in who becomes president of the United States of America? And I guarantee you a majority of the population never even thought about God's interest
That's right, brother.
in who controls the superpower government of the world.
Right now, listen.
And a reason, and it's not a slight against the people, but part of the reason why people don't think like that these days is because there's no respect for the word of God anymore.
None.
Right. Yes, sir.
People talk God,
That's right.
Come on.
dress up for God,
Yeah.
Right.
but do something else. You know, so there's a lot of masquerades going on. Is that right? So brothers and sisters, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan says this. When you see what the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad has done for women, none will be able to say that we're a hate group or we're anti-Semitic group.
Here we go.
All right.
What has the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad done for women?
Come on now.
God, we ain't got that much time.
Come on.
Seriously.
Here we go.
But we can touch on it.
Yes, sir.
He has reformed our women.
That's right.
Now you have a lot of different leaders, and many people always want to try to size up the Nation of Islam, and it's all right, just as we would do with other groups. But when it comes down to the Nation of Islam, why? Because really, in all actuality, the only reason why they all sizing us up because we really the only game in town
That's right.
in the black community. No, I'm not saying that with no arrogance. That's straight up true. When you look back into the civil rights struggle and all that, there's been many leaders and groups that came up for the benefit and salvation of black people and the poor and the oppressed
That's right.
throughout all the communities in America.
Yes, sir.
And the government under J. Edgar Hoover and others attacked each and every one of them,
That's right.
destroyed them.
That's right.
Right.
but the Nation of Islam. They worked on us too.
That's right.
The nation fell. Is that right? The nation fell. And all that came along with that was the assassination of Malcolm X. Is that right? But it didn't fall based off of the assassination. It just showed how the infiltration had grown so much. But once the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was off the scene, the enemy through the government and the enemy in some of us with our own hatred and jealousy and envy against each other. The Negro mind. Because a Negro is what the white man made. That kind of mind will destroy organizations. That nigger that might be in you will destroy the organization. That for every instruction that comes from on high, you want to question it and figure out why I got to do it. See, that kind of mindset, that destroys the foundation of organization. Because to organize means everybody got to play their part. Imagine if my foot fell asleep. The rest of my leg gonna be saying, yo, what's going on down here, man? This thing ain't acting right. Because everything is connected. If the parts are not, really serious. If the parts are not united, if we don't see the benefit of one another as it attributes to the whole, then we start working against each other.
That's right.
I'm not going to go too far down that line because I wasn't planning on going there. But it's something to be touched on because, brothers and sisters, the most ugliest part that can come up in us of a disease is envy. You and I, we can see jealousy if we look properly. Envy that's in a person, you can't see that. It's a disease of the heart. Not this heart, the heart of our thinking. To where you have people around you that just despise you benefiting off of anything, and they don't have no justified reason for why they don't want you to have what you've been blessed with. And the person that's being envied never understand that it's envy because they say, I ain't got nothing. Why would somebody be envious of me? All I do is try to be nice to people, and I want for my brother and sister what I want for myself. So the last thing that you will think about, all praises to the Allah. The last thing that you would think about is that the offenses coming at you from your brothers and sisters is based off of envy. It's an ugly monster. But it kills organizations. It ruins friendships. It ruins relationships. Is that right? Jealousy is a different thing. Because there is a thing called positive jealousy. Is that right? You got them nice shoes, that nice guy says, I'm so jealous that you got that. I've been wanting that outfit. Where did you get that? You look so good in it. See, that's positive jealousy. But that negative jealousy, oh, here you go. So you brought some shoes, huh? So how you get those shoes? I thought you said you was broke. You buying shoes and whatnot, and your children need stuff, and then you buying shoes. It's like, in one of them records back in the days, a few years back with Kanye West, he'd be like, why you